Hello everybody, today we're going to be looking at applying filters to your records within Sage 50 accounts. My name's Laura and I'm a learning facilitator here at Sage, and I'm going to be hosting today's webinar, just a quick learn here, which should take around 20 minutes. We've also got Abby on hand as well, just in the background to answer any questions that you may have as well. So before we get started, just some housekeeping rules. So your mic will be muted automatically, but you will see that there's a little question icon on the toolbar where you can submit any questions that you may have for Abby. So just make sure you pop them in there. And as it's a quick learn session, it is more demonstration based, but I will be including the slides in the handout section as well. There are going to be some links on there which you might find useful. So if you do want to download those, just make sure you do that during the session. And there's also a printer friendly version as well if you'd like to make any notes. So today I'll be giving you an introduction into using filters within your Sage 50 account software and how this can help you save time as well. Following that, I'm going to go through a demonstration within the program, and I'll cover some of the most common filters used. And I'll also provide some useful links to guides on our help centre as well. So if you do want to further your knowledge and have a try at applying those filters to your records, those might be quite helpful as well, just to refer to. And then there will be time at the end there as well, just to answer any questions that you may have. So filters enable you to narrow down data to only show records that you require at the time, making it more manageable and just easier to run reports for a specific data set. So you can use a filter to hide records such as customers with a zero balance, or you might want to show transactions with a specific date range. You might also want to filter and send specific data to Excel or run a report just showing this data as well. And it just adds a bit of flexibility to your reports by targeting that specific data. So what I'll do now is I'll pop into my system and we can have a look at applying some filters just within the data set there, and also have a look at which modules you can filter it into. So from here, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the customers module first of all. So if I just click on customers on the left-hand side, and we can see here along the top is where our filter button sits. And this is the same, this is where it sits in all of the screens that I'll show you as well on there. But a common filter people want to use is just to hide customers with a zero balance. So we can see here, I do have some customers that have a zero balance on there. And what we'll do is we'll apply a filter just to hide these in the program. So at the moment we can see here it's showing all of my records. So I've got 42 customers and it's showing all of them. If I click on filter, it's going to open up this window for me. And we've got options, we've got 4 fields that we need to fill in to apply this filter. So under where we have join, I'm going to click on the little drop down box and I'm going to choose the option where first of all. In the next box, and they'll all have drop down boxes, so you can use the drop down, or you can also use your keyboard to type. So I want to look for balance, so I'm just going to click on B on my keyboard and it takes me straight down to it. And then I'm going to say is not equal to in the condition. And then in the value, I'm going to leave it as 0. So you can free type in there. You can also, there is a little keypad that you can use just at the end as well if you need to type in there too. But I just want to ask it to show any records where the balance is not 0. So when I click apply to that, and then I'm going to close, the first thing that we can see at the top, it's now showing 36 of 42 records. So we know that there's a filter applied because it's not showing all of the records in there. We can see down here as well, those customers that had a 0 balance are missing from there as well. So if you wanted to, you could run a report, which will just pick up this data that you've got filtered. So if I click on reports in the top top right-hand corner, I'm just going to maximize that so you can see it. And I'm just going to choose a customer list because I've got that in my favorites, and preview that. Click OK. I'll just maximize that for you. So you can see here that that's ran my list on here. So these are all my customers that have a balance. And what I'll do is I'll show you the difference between the customers that don't have a balance on there, just so you can see the difference. I'm going to close those windows. And they're still there in the background. You can remove the filter just temporarily if you wanted to, just by clicking on this little remove filter icon. What that'll do is it'll just remove the filter. All the records are back. and your customers with that zero balance are still showing there now as well. And if I click on the filter button again, it will apply that filter for me. So it's just shown those 36 records. Alternatively, you might want to show just the customers with a zero balance on there as well. So if I click on the filter again, it's still shown in there until we clear the form and click apply. But we can amend this. So if I change this, and we're just going to say is equal to, just to show you the difference. So now we're seeing where the balance for these customers is equal to 0. If I click apply and close straight away without even having a look at the top here, we can see it's only 6 of the 42 records, but we've got a much shorter list. If I run that customer list again now, just by clicking on reports in the top right hand corner, preview my customer list, I'm just going to leave the criteria the same again. And we can see there, it's just got the handful of customers that we had before. I'll close that. You can also send the data to Excel as well. So just along from where you've clicked on reports at the top right hand side, if we just click on send to Excel, what it'll do is it'll just send the data to Excel, so you can apply sort of different filters to it if you wanted to. If you needed to send it over to a colleague on there, but it'll just have a little think about it. It's popped it on my other screen. I'll just drag that over, and you can see I've got those customers now in Excel format. Go back to my program there. So it's available in multiple areas. So I'll just clear my filter on there. So we know it's available in customers. It's available in our quotations module. See the filter option there. It's available within our invoices and credits on here. We've got the filter option there. We've got it in suppliers, just the same along the top here. Got it within our products and services. That one's already got a filter applied, we can see. It's only shown 22 of my 114 records. We have it in nominal codes, so you can filter your nominal codes if you want to. Within your transactions module, you can also filter within here as well. And depending if you're using the professional level of the product as well, we'd have it within your sales orders. Just click back onto there. We've got sales orders and also your purchase orders as well. So it is available in those areas if you're using the professional variant of the software there. If you're using departments as well, just click on departments at the bottom, you can also filter your departments and also charitable funds. So it is available in multiple areas of the program there. But we'll have a look at transactions. So if we pop into our transactions module, we can see there's no filter applied. It's showing all of my records there. And another common filter that you might want to show are just transactions from a certain date range. So if you've got a lot of data in there, you might not want to have all of your historic data shown in the program. So we can apply a filter just to show maybe transactions from the start of my last financial year. So if I click on filter, and in the join, I'm just going to use the drop down box and select where first of all. I'm going to tab across into the next field. And this time I want to choose date. So we're looking at the date range on there. So if I just click on D on my keyboard, it takes me down to it. Like I say, there is a drop down box. You can scroll up and down in here to find what you're looking for. I'm going to select date. I'm going to tab across to the next one. Use the drop down box on here, and I want is greater than or equal to. And I'm going to put the first day of the beginning of my last financial year, so the 1st of January 2024. I'm going to click apply to that and then close. And straight away we can see that's narrowed it right down. I've now only got 326 of my records showing in there. So if I'm going to click on the date just at the top here. What that'll do is it'll just toggle everything and pops it into date order for me. You can click on any of these headings and it'll order them in nominal, department, project. You can pop it into any order. You can see it's now not in numerical order that way. I've got it in date order now, just to show you. So we can see it's starting at the beginning of January 2024. And if I just scroll right down to the bottom of the screen, we can see that my last transaction was a couple of months ago, but it was in July this year. So we're showing the beginning of last financial year up until the most recent transaction that I've got in the program. And you might just want to show a specific date range. So this is where you can build on the filter as well. So say you just wanted to see just your previous financial year. So I don't want to see anything from 2025. I just want my last financial year. If I go back to filter at the top, and it's still got those details in there until we clear the form, I'm going to tab along to the end and it'll give me another line. This time, if we use the drop down box, we've got the options of and or. So I'm going to choose and on here, and I'm going to select date again. And in this one, I'm going to say is less than or equal to. Just select that from the drop down box. And I'm going to say the 31st of December, 2024. I'm going to apply that. So at the minute, we've got 326 records. I apply that, close. It's now narrowed that down further. So we've got 263 records showing on there. So we've got from the beginning of January 2024. And if we scroll down to the bottom now, the last one we've got is at the end of December last year. So it's just showing that particular date range on there. You can save filters as well. So if we go back to the filter at the top, so say I wanted to save this filter, it's something that I might use quite often on there. If we just click on save at the top, it'll open up a file explorer on there for where it's going to be saved to in the background. It shows you the path where they're saved in your criteria folder there. But I'm going to name this 2024 data, and we'll just leave it as that. I click on save, and I'm going to clear the form now. So it's getting rid of that data. So what that'll do is when I apply that, it brings me back to all of my records at the top. So I've cleared that filter and I've applied it, and now I've got all of my records back. If I want to apply that quickly, I can just go into filter. Because we've saved it, I can now click open, and we've got that filter saved in there. So I'm going to click on that, click open, and we've got that filter back in there as well. So it is company specific when you save the filters on there, so other users can access them from the saved filters. So if you've got somebody else who's in the same company, they can apply those saved filters and apply them as well. We can also narrow it down further as well. So if I click on them, I'm just going to add another line. We could also just, for example, just get it to show the bank payments from the previous financial year. So if I change this, I'm going to say, and I want transaction type. So if I hit T, they're in alphanumerical order. So it will go, you'll have to tab down a few just to get to transaction type. And I'm going to say is equal to, and we'll go with bank payments. Again, if you're using the drop down box, you've got all your transactions in there, so you can select all of them as well from there. So I'm just going to get it to show the bank payments from my last financial year. So if I click apply to that and close it, and we can now see that we've just got within here our last financial year, and it's just bank payments showing in there as well. So the quickest way to remove a filter is just if you click the remove filter at the top, that'll just toggle it off for you. The most recent filter that you've used is always sort of in there in the background unless you've cleared it. So you can just click on filter again and it'll pop it back on there. But the data is always there in the background. It doesn't delete anything. It's just moving it out the way for you, basically. One call that we do get quite often is somebody's missing data when their colleague can see it in their program. So it might just be down to a filter being applied. So the best way to check at the top of the module, if it says all records, you know for a fact that you've got all of your records shown in there, there's no filters applied. If you go into it and it says X amount of records out of however many records, you'd know that you've got a filter applied in there. So you can apply a filter on your PC, your colleague could be working away on their PC, it won't have an impact on them, it's only if you apply the filter on your actual PC. You can delete the saved filters as well, so say you no longer need this one, you just want to clear it out in the background. I'll just remove that there. If we go back to filter, I'm just going to clear that form and apply it. And then if I go to open, you can just delete these just by right-clicking, and then you can delete that, and that's it, it's gone. There's nothing else you would need to do for that. And that's that gone out the background there. So you can have a play around with it. You can have a look at it in your demonstration data as well. You can't do any harm to your data when you're applying a filter on there. If you did want to have a look at it in demonstration data, if you click on File at the top, and then if we go to Open and Open Demo Data, what this does is it opens a set of data that's nothing to do with your company data on there. It's just a preset set of data that we put in there that you can have a play around with. You can't do any harm to it. You can even see at the top when you go into it, it says computer and stationery mart on there. So it's not your data, it's just something that you can have a play around with if you wanted to do that. But it just means that you can have a look at it outside of your own data there. One question that I was asked last time when I ran this webinar as well is, what would I use OR for? So instead of using AND, so we'll have a look at that as well. So we'll pop into transactions. We've got no filter shown on here. So if we think about it, if we're using AND, it must meet all of the filter rules. If we choose OR, that just needs to meet either of those rules on there. So we'll have a look at that. So if I click on filter at the top, and I'm in my demonstration data here, and if we decide to put, so let's use where, and we'll go for transaction types. So if I click on T, and it toggles it down, and we're going to say is equal to bank payments, because that pops up first. Then I'm going to tab down again, and then I'm going to say or this time, and I want transaction type again. So I'm just going to hit T on my keyboard. It'll take me down to transaction type, and then I'm going to say is equal to, and this time we'll go with journal credits. So here we're asking it to show us where the transaction types are equal to either a bank payment or a journal credit. So if I click apply to that, and I'm going to close it, we'll see here that we've got 182 records, so we know that there is a filter applied. If we have a look down the type, we can see that we've got a mixture of journal credits and bank payments only in there. So if I just scroll down a bit, just so you can see it on there, I'll just pull it further down. We don't have any other transaction types in here, so it's showing both of those transactions. If we go back in the filter, and I'll leave everything else exactly the same. All I'm going to do is just change where it's got or to and. So it's exactly the same. If I click apply to that now and close, I've got no records. And it's just because you can't have a transaction which is both a bank payment and a journal credit on there. So by selecting or, it's meeting either of those rules. When we put and in, it has to meet both of them. So because the transactions aren't both a bank payment and a journal credit, it's bringing back nothing on there, which is correct. So I'll clear that filter down on there. So I'll pop back to my slides. So as we've just had a look at, so you might want to hide customers with a zero balance. So if you've entered where the balance is greater than zero, however, this is going to show anything above zero. So any customers with a negative balance, they won't show in the filtered data. So it's just something to consider there if you do want to see any transactions or any records with a negative balance there. You may also want to show data within a specific date range as well. So maybe your current financial year or for a specific VAT period perhaps. So here we're asking it to only show the data which is greater than or equal to the first day of my last financial year, and dates which are equal to the last day of my financial year, sorry, less than or equal to the last day of my last financial year there. So it's just showing that specific date range. Another way of filtering the data within transactions is if you just wanted to see which bank payments were made in a certain month maybe. So there are so many different filters that you can use within the data on there within the program. Like I said, you're not going to break anything or lose any data or anything like that. So you can have a go yourself. You can even have a look at it and do it in the demonstration data there. The data is always there in the background. All you can do is you can just click on clear that filter and it'll bring it all back for you. It's also worth noting that if the filter is only applied on your data set as well, so if you apply a data or a filter on your data set, it's not going to change anything on a colleague's computer. So you can run reports using a filtered set of data. It's not going to impact anybody else who's working in Sage. As promised, I've included some useful links here, which include our help centre, which are full of great articles with step-by-step guides around using Sage 50 accounts. So it includes a guide on applying filters, which is great to refer to when having a go in your own system. If you do want to further your knowledge around applying filters or records on there as well, I've also included a link to using our wildcard searches as well, which can be helpful when looking for specific data. And you can also access our upcoming webinars and sign up for them, along with viewing all of our previous recordings on the Help Centre from here too. So I've added a link on there for that as well. I've also included a link to our Sage University there as well, where you can enrol on courses and be tested on your knowledge, which you do receive a digital badge for. You can share that on things like LinkedIn as well there. So that might be quite handy to have a look at too, and it's free to sign up for that. So you can access our webinars page at sage.co.uk/webinars. All the past recordings are free to view in here, along with signing up for our upcoming webinars, and the link's just on the slide there for you too. If you do have any further questions, I'll just keep this open though for a little bit longer, just to see if anything else comes through. Don't forget, if you do want to download a copy of today's slides, just to do that before the session ends, as they're just not available once it finishes on there. And it does have those handy links on there too. So you will get a copy of today's recording by email as well in about an hour's time, just after the webinar finishes there. And while we're finishing answering those last few questions, just a reminder that we have our one-to-one bespoke training sessions as well. So these are block hour sessions, which are over Teams with one of our trainers who can provide training and answer your questions around how you want to use your software. So it may be that you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of how you're using it, or you may have new starters who just want to get up to speed on using the software. If it does sound like something that would be useful though, if you just pop us an email along, the email address is just shown on the bottom of the slide there, and then we can get back in touch with you just to discuss that. But it's just that email address, lsenablement1@365sage.net. But that does bring us to the end of today's session, so I hope that's been helpful for you, and thank you for attending. You will get a survey when leaving today's session. I'd love it if you could fill it in as well, just with any feedback or any comments around what else you'd like to see a webinar on perhaps. But for now, thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day.